All right, should be live here. I'm just waiting for these things to pop up and I can mute them. All right, how's everybody doing? Figured I'd do a quick follow up to Saturday night's video where I guess Saturday afternoon's video. No, it was Saturday night when I started it, finished it up Sunday, Father's Day. So as you can see, it's all pretty rusty, dusty, darker than I was hoping for because, when you spray it with the mat, it gets that kind of darker, wet look. Let's see if I can. I think that's going to be this one here. Nope, that's that one. That's quite a reflection right there, isn't it? Quite a reflection right there. So essentially what I did, had mask on, did some prep work on the inside. Let me go to this other camera here. Give a different view. We'll go to that one. And we'll spin her 180 so you can kind of see the windshield, and it's silvery around there and black. It should have been mostly black with a little silver around the edge, but that's all right. Hey, Smile, how you doing, buddy? But what I ended up doing is painting it with the silver paint that I had. It's a chrome reflective paint, Spat Sticks, I believe. Let me pull it up here. Yeah, Spat Sticks Mirror Chrome is what the bottle is. And I kind of used that around here real gently and kind of, outlined like it had chrome on it. And there's black in there because I added black trying to actually get to the outer edge, make it look like a rubber seal a little bit. And they kind of blended, but that's all right. It looks kind of old and beat up. It does the thing. Here I did black around this one, because it's like a rubber seal there. A little bit of silver showing up around the outside. Same thing on the back windows. A little silver around there. There was some black around here, but you can't really see it because it's all rusted over. Same thing on the driver's side. I did all that. Then I put my window mask on the inside. Then with the inside, let me go ahead and see what I can do here. I should be able to come into slides and PDFs. No, I don't want to do that. Oh, let's go to screen share. Yes, I want to share a screen. I don't have a window open, so bear with me. I got to get that open. We'll come over here and we'll go to albums. And I'll scroll down till I get to it. Now I should be able to come back over to here. There we go. Share that. Let me see what I got. Yeah, there we are. I'm going to go ahead and full screen this. And then come back to it. Scroll down to the bottom here. I guess I ain't got to scroll down to the bottom. I've went through this build before, I believe, so we can stop right here. I'll start up on this one. So as you can see, it's all silver on the inside. This one right here. I took that same mirror after I had all the trims out. I did these in black. And of course, these are dandles. I also did the hinges in black. So it looks like it's been, refabbed, if you will. Things are looking nice and clean and new, except for the body itself. But my idea here, and this is all clear right now on the outside, it's still just a raw body. Come back over here for a second. We'll come back a couple like that there. And now I'll come back over to this one. So painted the inside all the silver. So, and I used the brush with that thing because it gets kind of smeary. It's actually a airbrush paint. So it's really thin naturally. In the bottle, it comes very thin, already pre-thinned essentially, unless you let it, cap off and it gets dry up on the inside. But I use that in a wide, just a old tester's model car paintbrush, you get with testers for testers paints. So I grabbed, some of those and just grabbed the widest one I had. I guess I got it set in somewhere. It's not in there. I don't know where I put it, but it's sitting here somewhere. But the one that's like a 1/4 inch wide, and use that and just push it all around so that would turn around and give it a real streaky. I didn't take a picture of it. I should have, because it kind of looked neat. It looked like it was kind of brushed and swirled raw aluminum on the outside, but was really shiny, obviously, because of the body. So from there, I took some Spastic spray paint that was a matte clear. I think it was Spastics. Might have been another. It was a RC airbrush kind of company, paint company. But I took that matte clear, gave it a decent, light coating, but not too heavy, but not too light. I didn't want it to dry right away. And then I took this mix that I showed in my other video and just started sprinkling it over. And I did that Saturday night. And this is what we're looking at here. This is my first sprinkle with it. I let it set for 5-10 minutes. And then I took a paintbrush, just a simple chip brush. So let me come back over here. Not even a chip brush, just a small. Oh, want to do that. Just a small, hand brush, simple. And I use that to turn around and take and, dab on and knock off and that literally brush it, but not too hard. The first time I did like a chip, I come off it and that knocked off all the loose stuff. Essentially, it wasn't what I was going for. I was going for a nice clean black look, but with the chrome kind of bleeding through, it kind of looks like that old rubber that they actually, I think they actually kind of coated over in some cases, besides chrome trim back at some point. But so I took the chip brush here. Let me get back to this other camera for a second, and just kind of chipped on it like this and knocked off all the real loose stuff. And did that all over. I mean, I hit every little inch of it with this. Before I did this, though, I did tape the outside of the windows. I put tape over it, trimmed it out, cleared it out, pulled all the excess off, so all my exterior windows were covered as well. Obviously, when I did this, that's why they're nice and shiny and not matted over, all blurry. But then, I just chipped everything. And after that was done, I knocked it with the thing, took it over and had it and hammered it a few dozen times. And then I literally brushed it after it was decent dry 5-10 minutes later. Let it set like, 10-20 minutes. I think I gave it a second light spray on Saturday night, just here in the room. Got a little stanky, but not too bad. And then sprinkled a second coat on it of the, rusted out SOS pads is what I used. SOS pads, wash them really good, rinse out all the new ones, and you get them really hot water and rinse out all that detergent, get it all gone. You need every bit of it out of there. Get it all cleaned out, stick it outside in the sun, let it dry up real good. I used a small little cotton candy tub that you get, for $1 at Dollar General. You get full of cotton candy. I used one of those, stuffed I think 2 SOS pads. I might have used 3. I think it was only 2, and stuffed those in there and kind of covered it with vinegar, not completely, but about halfway, 2/3 of the way. And I would covered it and just shook it every day for like 2-3 weeks, and then I started opening up the lid. And I just let it rust, and literally for like 4 or 5 months, I put it in an area where it was going to get kind of okay heat, not a lot of heat, but decent heat to help evaporate the vinegar. And I just kept shaking and shaking, and after probably 4 or 5 months, it was just dry as dry. If you watch my video on Saturday night, I'd open the lid, and just by opening the lid gently and pulling it off, the rust is wafting out, because it turned it literally into, powder. It was iron oxide powder. But it had a lot of chunks and pieces in it. Obviously, that's what you're seeing here, a lot of the chunks and pieces. Now, if I could have got all of that powder, if you could have, sifted it out, if you will, and got all the chunks out of it, say with a copper mesh coffee filter, because it's got real fine holes. You could have, worked on it, knocked all that, fine stuff through there. You could have used that and coated it, and it would have given you a real soft, not abrasive appearance. It would have been real kind of smooth and clean and really dusty appearance. And that's what I'm going to try to do with my next one. I'm going to make some more and get it, add a little bit more stuff and really, vinegar, maybe just a little bit of something different. I don't know. But really get that iron to break down and oxidize into powder. And then, sift all the big stuff out, get a bunch of powder, give it a good liberal spray, and just powder the piss out of everything. Let her, dry real well, knock it off real well, and then do it again, coat it and powder the piss out of everything. That way it wouldn't be rough, it'd be real smooth, giving it that look. I was going for the, body, truck left out in the desert for 3-4 decades, and it got there. It's a little rougher than I was hoping for. Of course, a lot of this stuff will knock off, but yeah, exactly, Smile. As you're running it, you're going to scrape against rocks. It's going to roll over. You're going to start knocking this stuff off, and you'll see that silver on the inside. So let's go back over here for a second. Well, before I do that, let me come back over here, there, and then we'll back up. So this is the first round here after Saturday night when I did the first set. Now here it is Sunday, and I just brushed it all down. This is what you're kind of seeing is the brushed off look. Still pretty heavy, but still pretty brushed off. And I added a second one here, and I think I should have stopped right there. I think if I would have stopped right there, but there was areas you could see through it. But if I had more good powder, of course it's powdery, so a lot of it just kind of floated away. But if I had more good powder, I would have added a lot more of that on the second one, because you can see now I'm getting in the second one, it's getting real heavy in there. Getting more of that rugged and sandpapery kind of appearance, which I didn't want, but it's what I had to work with, so I kept going. But it looks good. It's just chunkier than I was going for. It's pretty heavy here on there. You can see it right there. It's real heavy. And then I really let it dry real good in the sunlight, and then started chipping it the same way. Got it all chipped off and bring it in, and this is what we're at now. Is after it was all chipped out, it's still real heavy, but like I say, it's going to take a lot of scrapes the more it's ran. Pulled the paint off, or the stickers, window mats off the front and inside and outside of the windows, and that's where it's at right there. And I believe this next pick coming up is where I put it on the bottom. Oh no, that's where I flipped it over and painted the inside mustard orange. Forgot about that one. I didn't. I was wanting to get there. It's kind of why I went back over here, because the inside is now mustard orange instead of the silver. So as you see through that silver, it was, in that first pick. Let me come back here to this one right here. How streaky it is, you can actually see through it in a lot of spots. Looking from the outside into the light, it's fairly translucent. So when I get back and did the yellow, which I did a decent coat and got it pretty filled out, it really kind of will back it out. So as it's getting scratched and knocked out, you'll see that aluminum, but some of that yellow will kind of bleed through as well. And I'm hoping, resemble the original paint job being mustard yellow. And there it is mounted. Now I do plan to take the brush, probably one of the smaller tester brushes, take some of that mustard yellow, spray it into a cup, and then start doing a little bit of, down along the bottom here. I don't know if you can see my mouse, but the bottom of the door, the cab corners on both sides. I want to take and, around the front bottom here, the areas where it would be kind of shadowed a little bit more, a couple in the creases, and take some of that yellow mustard paint, maybe here and a little bit across the brow a smidge, down around the edges, just where it may not see all the sunlight all the time, so it gets a little bit not quite as bad. So it resembles the rust coming through the original mustard paint job. And there it is from the back with my bed. Pretty basic. It wasn't hard, I've seen, like I said Saturday night, I was seeing all the ways everybody was making rust, and I thought, that ain't too bad. Yeah, that's exactly it. It'll look better with every scratch. The more of that it will be exposed and exposed. But it's real rust, so if I'm outside running and it gets wet, well, guess what? It's just going to rust a little more. Even though I did seal it with the matte finish, I don't think it's going to stop it from actually rusting even a little bit more. So yeah, I was talking about, I want to take some of that yellow and catch it along the bottom here. The back cab corners, down on the upper cab back a little bit, maybe like the back of it was getting the evening sun where it's not quite as intense and a little more cool down. Do a little bit more of this yellow patchy and splottiness on the back side. Same thing in the front, a little bit here on the window bars, come around the grill and the outside, where it's going to, catch a little bit on the downs in the early morning where it wasn't quite and get as much, get some touch up in there. And I might even take that chrome and do a real light, kind of streak across the front of the grill with one of these real small tester brushes. Kind of just real lightly kind of touch it in a couple spots and pull it here and there and kind of just let some of that yellow come through the grill and the chrome come through the grill. Ideas on what to do to kind of touch it up a little bit. Kind of, bring that kind of more lifelike rust instead of just splattered and covered, a little bit of the more realistics. Yeah, that mustard. I seen that, and I had that and a few other colors, and I thought, man, that mustard. I got green and some military greens, but they're tester regular paints. They're not, Lexan paint, but that mustard was. I thought, even though I'm going over that silver, I thought that mustard's pretty close to what a 50s color would be. They had kind of a maize, a darker maize, mustard, orange, yellow at the time. Now when you see them, they look kind of really pale yellow, but they were a mustard originally. So I thought it was, that was kind of a fitting color, and I had it on hand. I can't remember what I was going to do with that color originally, or what I did with that color originally. So I don't think I used it on anything too much. Might have a couple. I think I was supposed to do something with the optic, because it had the Battleborn with the kind of yellow mustard look. Maybe I used it, sprayed it into a paper cup or something, and used it to paint the guys. No, I used the tester's paint for that. I can't remember. But anyways, I thought it'd turn out really good here. Like I say, I'll use some more and do a little streaking on it here and there. But yeah, most of the day today I've been getting everything ready and prepared. I got my first job to do. It's pretty easy. It's only 100 square foot. I should be able to, I'm thinking, have it all knocked out tomorrow. Maybe be done by 5, 6 o'clock. Try to get on job site by 8:30. I have to hit the warehouse in the morning and grab a couple things, and the Home Depot, and pick up a couple items there real quick, and then head out. Probably head out to Home Depot right away, and then hit the warehouse on the way through, because it is right on my way through. Go get that stuff and get done what I got to get done. The next week I've got one that I start that's almost 400 square foot. So, and maybe they'll throw something in the beginning of the, for the end of this week, if they can find something that I can knock off in a day or so. So yeah, that's the rig itself. Now, like I say, I'm going to do some more upgrades to this. I'm going to be changing out the SSD diamond axles and putting Vanquish on it. And now that I've realized I can, swap out the front counter rotating drive shafts mechanism, I may go ahead and grab and build up another actual Vanquish tranny, because it does have the Vanquish builder's chassis, the SCX 10.2 builder's chassis already, so I may as well swap it all over into more modern Vanquish stuff. My idea was to buy a Phoenix, not a Phoenix, I'm sorry, to buy a Portal builder's kit, and then take the rear axle, and I've got an H10 front axle, stock, all plastic, and this is a rig, you know, basically a trail truck, leave it all plastic as far as that goes, and put those axles, you know, the H10 in front and the F10 Portal in the rear, turn it into a mullet, you know, trail rig. Put a 500, a smaller servo. I've got a Reese 1100 in here. Take that out. That'll go into the other Portal, which is going to use another H10 front axle, and then I'll use the F10 Portal front axle on the rear and make it four-wheel steer with the twin tranny, so it'll be four-wheel steer with dig and overdrive built into it, a suckable overdrive. But turn that build into two builds and finish this one out so it's all Vanquish essentially, besides a few SSD parts that I still have on here. The shocks, the shock towers are SSD, the links are titanium and SSD. I think, yeah, the front panhard mount is Vanquish. I'll probably leave the servo winch, being it's an IS 800, and then I'll put an IS 300 into the other Portal rig. But basically kind of swap this all over, so it's almost all Vanquish except for my mod pieces and the few SSD pieces. Like I say, put a 500. I've got a 500 in it. Take the 1100 out. Use that in the front, and I've got a 900 sitting in the box that I'll use on the rear steer of the Portal rig. So that's what I'll do with that. But I figured I'd, you know, do a quick little touch up or follow up video after Saturday night on the finished deal here. So it's not completely finished. I've got a little bit of stuff to do to it. Like I said, I'll probably brush it down once or twice, try to, you know, flatten it out, get a little bit more of that stuff chipped off, and, you know, just so it's not quite so rough. But turn around and oh, I got Vanquish wheels too. Once I'm done, I'll put Vanquish wheels. These are just a RC Lions or one of those brands, a Chanquish wheel on thing, but I'll put actual, like I said, actual Vanquishes that'll go on there too, rims that are bronze, so they'll look real well. Can't remember which ones they are right now. I actually got two bronze ones, so I'm not sure which set I'll use. I got those in the WFs. Yeah, exactly. Are they ever really finished? Not much. Now, once I redo the transmission, because I'll be leaving the fake dig, the knockoff dig on the back, because I won't need that on the transmission. Actually, that's what I should do. Instead of buying another tranny, I'll just take the tranny, the Vanquish tranny that I built up that's in the monster truck, put this stuff on that, then take this raw tranny and put it in that, because that's all real kind of knockoff stuff. Where's my brush? I got some dust bunnies in my shocks. So turn it into a more of a more Vanquish build. And that will be three, basically. Three with my bomber being vanquished out with all the bomber parts as much as possible, except for the metal housings. But I got everything else of the Vanquish stuff for that. So, yeah, but anyways, I figured, like I said, I'd jump on and do a quick little thing. The last thing I was thinking about doing, I'm not sure, I might, was to logo it up. Some kind of logo and do the same thing, old school, like it's half rusted out. So take some masking tape, set it up, cut logo out of it, but leave parts of the tape in place where the letter should go through, and then just dab on in the open spots where the logo, you know, putting a logo on there that's all kind of broken up and all over the place, which would, you know, kind of mimic the logo being rusted through on the doors. So it was like a work truck from back in the day, you know, Sanford and Son, something along that lines. But no, I like it. I like it. It turned out great, and the rig runs really good. I've ran it 4 or 5 times, 20, 15, 20 minutes, not long, just enough to kind of play around a little bit and piss around. But now that I've got the body done, because I really didn't want to muck up the body, it was, you know, the plastic coating was getting kind of screwed over, but I really didn't care because I knew what I wanted to do with the body. So it didn't matter if it got kind of scratched up on the outside. It's just going to add to the character of what I was going for. But that said, it'll take a few changes. I'll have a few things to do to it. One, I gotta get back, you know, steady at work here, and once I get, you know, some things, you know, good steady checks coming in, you know, and work coming in, and checks filling in what I got for work, then I can turn around and buy the Phoenix kit and the few things, you know, a few things and more than a few things, but the things I'll need for that to finish it up, and then get that built and swap this over. And so yeah, then I'll have a set of SSD axles. Maybe I can find an old Trail King chassis somewhere, or some other chassis, and I'll have a set of nice SSD diamond axles to build. Maybe I'll build another cheater rig using straight axle, which that's what the other one is, a straight axle. But yeah, that's exactly it. Smile. Are they ever really finished? No, I've got, you know, some here. Now I got back in 2020 and didn't have anything as far as crawlers go. About the only surface rig I had at the time was the old Duratrax dirt bike, and I wasn't running it. It was sitting in a box on a shelf, half tore apart. So yeah, I picked up quite a bit in the last 3-4 years. So yeah, man, it was a fun build. I really enjoyed it. As far as the whole build itself, it was a lot of modding to kind of put things to work, and I didn't need to do a counter rotating shaft system because with the diamond axles, you can install the third member either way. It goes in, you know, with the third member coming out the top for more clearance, or out the bottom. I just wanted a counter rotating shaft to kind of really put that, you know, does it help a torque twist to the test? I believe it does. It's minimal on these rigs, but this is, you know, isn't too bad. But I figured it'd be a way to test it. But if I go with the H10 on the front and the portal in the back, well, it'll fit the King, and I won't have to buy the H-Tech counter rotating shaft setup, which I'll have to buy one anyways, for the portal Phoenix build, which will be a mullet. So yeah, pretty good. I'm gonna add, you know, a little bit more scale bolts when I put the Vanquish wheels on it. It's got scale bolts, or they'll have scale bolts in them, and I'll mount them with scale bolts. I might buy a set of the. Did I put them on here? No, these are the. Are these? Boy, I got some big old chunks in the back. What did I do on these? Okay, so on the front, I've got the SSD brass knuckles. Turn them this way and give you a little bit better. See, that's the SSD brass knuckle here that's kind of shining there. On the back, I did something because it's got a whole, must be SSD. I think they're brass, the brass weights on the back. So yeah, these are decently set up axles. But yeah, I'll turn around, like I say, I'll put the F10s on here, leave them pretty much stock on the H10 on the front. Just to kind of change it. Thanks, Smile. It is a beauty. She's an ugly beauty. But yeah, I don't know if anybody's seen this, but I know you've kind of been seeing these 2 screws, but that's how the body's mounted. Just these 2 screws here on the side. Little, you know, 4 millimeters. And when I get everything done, I'll actually replace these with scale bolts too, so they got a scale piece on them instead. And that's it. Simple Getting it back lined up isn't too bad, but it is a little tricky. You got to kind of put it in the right place, especially on this back corner here. I got to get my little tabs. I'll probably cut those off, but they do help keep it all centered. And then front, you got to kind of move the front over so it sets in place. Once you got that all done, load up the screw on the driver, turn it a little bit, give it a little push. It's hard to see, but where's my hole? All right, let me do this. I gotta have a little bit better light downside. Yeah, just a little bit back. Push it forward a little bit and send her home. So yeah, it snugs that body on there real well. There we go. Just push it down a little bit on this side. Easy line up, no real muss, no real fuss, not hard to take care of. And then when I, seen it, I had the battery set up. Battery set's kind of high, and I may do something to try to, I could move it down, obviously on the two, one of the two skids are down here, side plates. But I was thinking about trying to do a, somewhat scale interior a little bit, add a couple seats and a driver, or maybe a couple people inside, put a few things in the back, toolbox, gas can, milk crate full of shit, tow strap and chain, a few other things. I got to weld my front piece back on my nose, my bull nose. But yeah, so there it is, pretty much ready to go. Talked about it a little bit on Kurt's in Kurt's chat last night. So I figured I'll finish it up tonight because I was going to do something yesterday. I just didn't get a chance till it was late, and I didn't want to try to do something over everybody else's stream or Kurt's stream and the other stuff. So I figured, all right, I'll do it tonight. Do the last thing before I do. Get ready to go to work in the morning. But yeah, so as it's things fall off it works out pretty good. But I do like it. It looks pretty cool. I think once it's logoed out a little bit, I get some of this a little bit chrome in here in the front, where it's on the rust, or it looks like the rust is kind of just pushing the chrome off and it's kind of falling. I think it'll work out pretty well. Turned out pretty decently. And like I say, it's pretty hard. It's locked down there. It ain't going anywhere. Just two screws. It's amazing what those two little screws will hold as far as this body goes. So, anyways, thanks for hanging out, Smile, and anybody else checking. I see there's a few people watching in the background, but I'm gonna go ahead and head off. It is 7:40. Take care of a few more things and let everybody have a good night. And I need to try to get to sleep somewhat early tonight because I'm going to try to get my ass up at 5:45 in the morning. Been a while since I've been up that early. I want to get out of here by 6:30, 6:45, so I can, stop into Home Depot, 15 minutes, grab the shit I need there, go to the warehouse, grab the couple items I need there, and then head to the job, which is about another, 45 minutes. 40 minutes from the warehouse. So anyways, you guys have a good night. Thanks for checking it out. If you can, hit that like, subscribe, and thumbs up button. That would be cool. I'd appreciate it. When you do hit the subscribe, if you do that, hit the little drop down there and choose all, because YouTube defaults it to personal. So if you are subscribing to people, but you're not seeing their videos or things like that, check your subscription on their page and hit that drop down. You're probably on personal. You want to choose all, because if you're getting personal, that means whoever's making that video, they have to send you a link saying, hey, I made a video. And if you're not in the personal space, you're not getting notifications of anybody's video you're trying to watch. Anyways, that's all. A little bit of advice. Everybody have a good night, and we will holler at you again later.